Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto was banished from Konoha and become new Raikage of Kumo, part 3. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please do support for more awesome content and also hit the subscribe button. And share this video with your friends and also support the creator of this fanfic. I have created many playlists, check it out in the channel. So let's start the video. Konohamaru had changed a great deal since Naruto's death. Soon after he heard about Naruto's death, he started to train even harder to become Hokage since he wanted to do it and honor Naruto's memory. When Konohamaru had gone to Asuma and asked him to train him in his grandfather fighting style, the crazy monkey fist, he even later on signed the monkey summoning contract and got Enma to train him in ninjutsu. After Asuma was killed, Konohamaru trained even twice as hard since he now lost his parents, his grandfather, and his uncle, leaving her and Hiruzen as the only family he had left in the world, where he moved in with her. Over the next few years, Konohamaru grew stronger, where he learned how to do many of the jutsus that his grandfather could use, as well as combine them. He even learned and mastered the Yondaime famed Rasengan that he learned from Jiraiya, who had taught him it due to his connection to Naruto and due to the fact that he was his sensei grandson. Konohamaru had even created his own fighting style that worked well with either ninjutsu or taijutsu as a fighting style. He called the fighting style the Drunken Monkey Fist, which was a combination of the Crazy Monkey fighting style and the Drunken Boxer fighting style that he learned from Lee. The Drunken Monkey fighting style combined the unique agility and speed of the Crazy Monkey Fist and the power, as well as the unpredictable fighting moves of the Drunken Boxer fighting style. The fighting style was so unpredictable and the moves so random that not even Kakashi and Sasuke Sharingan could predict what moves Konohamaru would make next whenever he sparred with either of them. Over the next 6 years, Konohamaru rose through the ranks very quickly, where he had just recently become a jonin and was one of Konoha top jonin already and earned the nickname Konoha no Anki, Konoha's Monkey King, which had irritated Enma for a while, with people giving his title to Konohamaru as a nickname. Despite that, it caused Kurenai to smile, knowing how proud his grandfather and uncle would be of him. Another thing about Konohamaru was that he was now head of the Sarutobi clan and member of the council, not to mention he was also now engaged with Hinata's younger sister Hanabi. The two of them had started to date when Konohamaru and her both became chunin when they were 16, and both were now 18 and were both jonin, since Hanabi became one about a month after Konohamaru did. Konohamaru teammates Yuden and Mogi also changed and improved a great deal over the years. Both were now Takubetsu jonin, where Mogi was one of Konoha top Genjutsu users due to after Naruto death Mogi had came to her to be a Genjutsu specialist since Mogi had refused to learn from her grandmother Kaharu since she blamed her for Naruto death, since she was one of the people that got Naruto banished from the village. Yuden had also improved a good bit too, since he became a skilled fighter thanks to his training from Guy and Asuma before he was killed, as well as a skilled strategist in which he was second in command to Shikamaru as strategist to Konoha. Both Yuden and Mogi had even recently married to one another and were happy together. Kurenai then turned and looked at Sakura, who was reading a medical book at the time, as well as sometimes looking up from her book to watch Choji and Lee spar with one another for a few minutes. Kurenai then started to think about how Team 7 had changed since Naruto banishment and death. Sakura had changed a great deal since Naruto's banishment and death, and like Ino, Sakura had thought Naruto as a demon and a danger to the village, but after verbal beating that Swan gave her, it had woken her up to how much of a fool she had been, as well as how wrong she had been. As well, after Naruto's death, she became depressed for a while due to the fact that she would never be able to apologize to Naruto for what she did to him and to try and make it up to him. Eventually she got past her depression and became more force on her training as a medic nin, where by the time she was 16 she was a chunin and a highly skilled medic, which she had proven when she helped heal the Kazukiage brother Kankuro when he was poisoned by Akasuna no Sasori when the Kazukiage was kidnapped. Her skill as a medic nin grew more over the years, and she had also grew in rank and became a jonin and was one of Konoha's top medics and was the assistant deputy head of the hospital, with Shizune being the deputy head and Tsunade being the head of the hospital. She was also given the nickname Konoha no Chiyo Sakura, the healing Sakura of Konoha. Also, many people believed that her skill as a healer rivaled that of Swan. Were given a few more years she would be as good if not even better than Swan. Sakura wore. Go to profile to find link to a picture of what Sakura is wearing and looks like, but but without the tattoo in the picture. Also, like Tenten, Sakura did not bother trying to get into a relationship with anyone after she realized how dark Sasuke was becoming and saw what he was becoming with her own eyes and had decided to focus her time on improving her medical skills. Next there was Sai, and although Sai was not an original member of the Konoha 12, where he did not join until after Naruto was banished, he did become a part of it once the others began to get him to open up and began to trust him. But that had took a while since Sai was a perfect byproduct of Danzo root program, where he had no name unless Danzo gave him one, and was trained to have no emotions or suppress them. But eventually the bond he witnessed most of the Konoha 12 have with one another interested him, where they used that to bypass Danzo training and get Sai to show emotions. Soon enough he did start to open up, and he too began to change and started to show his emotions more to them. Although he suffered from traumatic memories from time to time after he started to open up his emotions, which was due to the horrific training that took part in, that was later on fixed by Ino, with use of her family mental jutsus, whom he later on married. Over time Sai learned about Naruto and what he was like and became interested in hearing more about Naruto, saying that he sounded like his friend Shin, who he had considered like his brother at one point until he died of an illness in which Sai had stated that he was sure he would have liked Naruto had he met him. Then there was Sasuke, which caused Kurenai to frown as she thought about the boy. Over the years he had grown darker and became more fixated on gaining power to kill his brother. He got Kakashi to train him privately and teach him as many jutsus and other things as he could so that could get stronger. Also with Danzo, Kaharu, and the civilians' help he was able to get a seat on the council, which had not happened before, since even though the Uchiha clan was a clan of Konoha, they had no seat on the council like the rest of the clans since they ran the military police, hence they could not have say in political matters of the village, which now changed when he became part of the council. After the mission with retrieving the Akatsuki, Sasuke seemed to get even darker than he already had been due to the fact that during the battle with the fake Itachi where Sasuke had killed him, Sasuke had believed that for a brief few moments he had finally killed his brother, but when it was revealed that it wasn't the real Itachi, he had felt cheated and angered. Plus during the battle Itachi had said something to Sasuke to anger him further. Sasuke was also angered when they found that the Akatsuki base had been destroyed and Sasori dead and his partner Deidara was missing, which resulted in a missed opportunity to find his brother and kill him. Soon after the failed mission to kill Haiden and Kakuzu, Danzo recruited Sasuke to his root program, where with Danzo help through his special and advanced training program, Sasuke quickly grew stronger over the years and rose in ranks, where he was now the head captain of Danzo Root Division and was answerable to Danzo and sometimes Tsunade, but only if Sasuke had done something against the village laws. But what sickened Kurenai most, as well as many other shinobis, was that the civilian part of the council, not to mention the villagers and many shinobi in Konoha, were trying to get Swan to make Sasuke her successor as the Hokage. It was even supported by Danzo and Kaharu, although all the clan heads and most of the shinobi population, as well as Homura, were against it. This of course caused Kurenai to pray daily that it would not happen, since if Sasuke did become Hokage she feared for Konoha's sake. Sasuke had also yet to marry, not that there were a lack of women willing to marry him, since many civilian women had offered themselves to him, as well as high-ranking and wealthy civilian families offered their daughters to him in arranged marriages to Sasuke. The council had even gave him the Clan Restoration Act to marry multiple women to rebuild the Uchiha clan quickly, but Sasuke had turned them all down since he seemed too fixated on killing his brother than to worrying about restoring his clan in Konoha. Kurenai then decided to move her thoughts from Sasuke and think about how much her old genin team had changed and grown over the years. Out of all of Konoha, 12 Shino had changed the least amount, as he remained like all Aburam, stoic and logically thinking all the time and only spoke when needed. Despite his lack of changing personality-wise, he had moved up the ranks in Konoha quite high, where he was the chief commander of the Anbu Hunter Ninja Division due to his high skill in finding missing ninjas and cool logically thinking. He had also grown very strong during the last 10 years since he mastered all his clan jutsus and created several of his own. He was also the strongest in his clan and was due to take the title as clan head from his father next year. Shino had also gotten married to a young civilian girl who had not been frightened or disgusted away by Shino harboring bugs in him, which surprised Kurenai and many others, since many didn't think Shino could be talkative enough to talk to a girl on a date and keep her interested, but he had proved them wrong. Kiba had not changed too much either, since he was still hot-headed and brash, as he was when he was younger like most in Yuzuka, but he had changed enough in some ways where he was not as loud as he used to be and did not rush into a fight. He actually would think and plan before he enter a fight, which had greatly surprised Kurenai when she saw him think out a plan of attack during a mission. Over the years, Kiba had learned and mastered all his clan jutsus and even improved on some of them, as well as created his own ones with his partner Akamaru, who was now the size of a large bear who Kiba could now ride on in battle or travel on. Kiba had even grown quite high in ranks of Konoha like the other members of Konoha 12, where he was now the second in command of the Anbu Hunter Ninja Division under Shino. Also, unlike most of the other male members of the Konoha 12, Kiba was still single, although it was not from a lack of trying, since he had dated several different girls, both civilian and shinobis alike. But all of his dates with them turned out with him saying or doing something perverted, which resulted in him being beaten by each of the girls. But out of all the members of the Konoha 12 that had changed over the years, Hinata had been the one that had changed the most. After Naruto banishment, she was depressed for months, where she barely said a word and did very poorly during her training with Kurenai and her father, as well as during missions. But just when she seemed to get out of her depression, news of Naruto's death came out, after which she had locked herself in her room and had tried to kill herself. After Hinata's failed suicide attempt, she had started to get better when Niji and her sister, as well as Kurenai herself, had talked to her and get her to live on for Naruto's sake, but that had then changed during a spar with her father that she had done poorly in. Flashback 3 months after Naruto's death. Pathetic, said Hiashi, as Hinata fell on the ground tired and hurt from training with her father. You hardly even improved in the slightest in your Jiken in the past year. I expected you to have become better by now with that blonde Jinchuriki boy that you had a crush on, said Hiashi. This caused Hinata to look up at him in surprise. Yes, I knew about your crush on him. I had hoped that with him gone you would have focused on your training more and gotten better, but it seems that I was wrong, you only got worse. I am not even sure that you make an even decent branch member. Maybe Niji should have just let you die when you tried to kill yourself and save the clan from bearing the humiliation of having you in the main house or even as a member at all, said Hiashi as he sighed in disgust of her. Hiashi looked down at her in disgust and then said, perhaps if you had died when you tried to end your life earlier, then you might have then been with that pathetic Jinchuriki boy, since clearly he could never be Hokage despite what he thought, and the only reason why he was able to be Niji was because of his use of the Kyuubi chakra. Perhaps Konoha would be better off without the both of you. No, I certain it would be better off without the both of you, since it is clearly better off without him in it, since he was a clear threat to the village safety with his continuing ability to control the Kyuubi power and was putting it in danger and putting the village in the line of fire of the Akatsuki, since they were after him and would have destroyed the village to get him. Yes, there is no question to that both our clan and the village are better off now that he dead. After which Hiashi then turned around and began to walk away, where he had his back facing her. Becoming Hokage has. If an idiotic fool like him could have become Hokage, let alone even a Kage, an idiotic dreamer, that all her was, said Hiashi as he continued to walk away. But had he looked back, he would have seen a look in Hinata that no one had ever seen in her before, a look of pure hatred and rage. Flashback ends. Kurenai remembered how angry she was when she heard Hiashi, since she had come to visit Hinata at the time and decided to stay hidden behind a tree. As she overheard the conversation, she had even been sorely tempted to beat the living crap out of Hiashi for saying such hateful and heartless things to Hinata. Soon after the conversation, and when Hiashi had left, Kurenai went to Hinata to comfort her, but when she got to Hinata, she simply told her that she was okay and that she was used to her father saying such things. Kurenai had known that Hinata was lying to her, but decided to let it go and let Hinata come to her to talk to her about it when she was ready, but she never did. Over the next 3 years, Hinata became like Shino, where she barely spoke to anyone. Even to Kurenai she would often disappear and come back with bruises on her body, and whenever Kurenai talked to her about it, she simply told her that she was okay and that she was just training. It was then, when Hinata was 16, that during a meeting of the entire Hyuga clan, Hinata exercised her right as an heiress of the Hyuga clan to challenge Hiashi as clan head, which had shocked everyone both in the Hyuga clan and in the entire village. Kurenai remembered just before the match between Hiashi and Hinata how she, Niji, and Hanabi had tried to talk her out of fighting her father, since they had all believed that she would just get herself killed. But Hinata had refused to give up. Kurenai even remembered Hiashi offering her a chance to give up and not be humiliated in front of the Hokage and the entire village, since the match was in the village arena, to which Hinata refused. Flashback fight. When Niji, the proctor of the fight, said begin, both activated their Byakugan. Hinata then disappeared in a burst of speed that could only be matched by Guy or Lee without their weights. She then reappeared in front of Hiashi, who was too shocked at her level of speed to react in time to dodge the Chakura no Mesu, Chakra Scalpel, strike, which she had activated when she ran at him, to his chest, and then delivered a side kick to his head and sending him several feet away from her. Hiashi had quickly recovered from the surprise attack but began to breathe heavily and cough due to the damage in his lungs due to the Chakura no Mesu strike, disrupting his breathing in his lungs. Have you fallen so far in your use of the Jigen that you have to use medical techniques to fight me with? Have you not ashamed the Hyuga clan enough with your failings? You're a disgrace to our noble clan, said Hiashi in a cold voice. Disgrace? Said Hinata. If anyone who is a disgrace, it is you, father, saying it in disgust. You and all the elders who are too stuck in their old ways to accept change. You are all prideful blind fools who believe that our eyes and our Jigen style are enough and believe that to use jutsus and other techniques is to lower ourselves. Which is clearly wrong, since all it does is make us weaker. We are no noble clan, since no noble clan would treat their own clan members in such a way like we have, by making our kinsmen no better than human shields and slaves. You and the elders claim that our eyes see everything, yet you and the elders are all blind to the simple truth, which is that eventually the Hyuga clan will have to change from its old barbaric ways, and that there are many different types of strength which cannot be easily seen by simply how well they fight or do something, which is why you will lose this fight, said Hinata with a calm yet equally cold and confident voice, much like Hiyashi's. This of course got Hinata many angry glares from the Hyuga elders for insulting them and their traditions. You impudent child, said Hiashi, are a barely contained snarl. He then attacked with several Jigen strikes, which Hinata easily dodged all of them. Hiashi quickly began to lose his calm exterior and attacked her with his Haki Rakujin SHM, 8 trigrams 64 palms. To which Hinata quickly fell in a stance, and the called out Shugahaki Rakujin SHM, protection of the 8 trigrams 64 palms, and blocked all of Hiashi attacks from his Haki Rakujin SHM with some kind of unknown technique and left several cuts on his hands and fingers. This of course got her wide-eyed shocked looks from everyone, especially the Hyuga clan members, since they had never seen or heard of this technique. What was that technique you used? Asked Hiashi with clear shock in his voice and on his face. It is my Shugahaki Rakujin SHM. It is a technique that I created from my knowledge of Jigen that allows me to use my natural flexibility along with my high chakra control to emit a constant stream of chakra from my palms, creating extremely sharp chakra blades. With my natural flexibility, I can reach any point around me, allowing me to hit any target or defend against any attack within my field of vision. Also, as you also saw, while using this jutsu, my hands move extremely fast, allowing me to hit hundreds of targets with extreme precision, much like your Haki Rakujin SHM, as well as defend against such attacks like the Haki Rakujin SHM, making it the perfect technique to use to block the Haki Rakujin SHM. Additionally, I can control the size of the chakra beams in my palms, allowing me to create larger, arc-shaped chakra beams that spread out across my entire attack range, cutting anything in its path in half. In a way, this is my absolute defense, since its effects are somewhat similar to that of the Hakishinkaten, 8 trigrams palms heavenly spin. In this way, the technique can be used as both an offensive and defensive maneuver, said Hinata in a calm voice with a hint of pride. Many in the crowd, especially the Hyuga clan members, could not believe that the shy young heiress could create such a technique by herself. But before Hiashi could fully comprehend what he had heard from his failure of a daughter, Hinata disappeared from his sight again and reappeared in front of him, aiming a Jigen strike right at his chest. But thanks to years of experience from many different battles, when he was an active ninja doing missions, he was able to dodge the attack to a degree where the strike only hit his left arm. Unfortunately, he was not prepared for the pain that went through his now shattered arm. Roared Hiashi, clutching his now shattered arm with his other arm. What did you do? Said Hiashi as he grinds his teeth together, trying to fight off the pain that he felt from having the bones in his arms being shattered. It is another technique that I created that I called Ejeki Sendo, Death Strike. I created from my training with Swan Sensei. Since 3 years ago, after your little speech to me about how I would be better off dead, which caused many gasps from people in the audience to gasp at shock at how Hiashi could say such a thing to his own daughter, I went to Swan-sensei and asked her to train me, which she agreed to. During which over the past 3 years she'd been teaching me in secret many medical techniques and training me into becoming stronger. She even taught me the basic of how her super strength is worked and how it is used, in which over the years I combined the basic of this technique with my Jiken and my high chakra control to allow me to send massive and concentrated pulse waves of chakra through my fingertips into any object that I hit, causing it to shatter and break with a single strike. But for a person, depending on the amount of chakra I use, I can break or shatter a bone until it nothing but pieces, as well as do a great deal of internal damage in their body. And what you got, father, saying the name with venom, was with me just using a small amount of chakra, said Hinata with a cold and cruel smile that had appeared on her face when she had spoken, which had sent a shiver of fear down Hiyashi's spine, as well as the spines of many other people in the audience who were watching the fight between the father and daughter. After finishing speaking, Hinata then disappeared again from sight and reappeared in front of Hiyashi and delivered another Dejeki Sendo at his chest, causing him to spit out blood as he was sent sailing across to the other end of the arena and hit the wall and leave a large dent in it. As Hiyashi struggled to keep himself standing, Hinata appeared in front of him again and hit him with several more of her Dejeki Sendo, causing him to smash against the arena wall several more times, making the dent in the wall bigger and causing more of Hiyashi bones to break and shatter, as well as causing more internal damage in his body. Many people in the audience could not help but flinch, cringe, and look away as they heard Hiyashi screams of pain, as well as the sounds of his bones breaking and shattering from Hinata attacks. Hinata soon stopped, and just when everyone thought she was done, she quickly went in the Haki Rakujin SHM stance and accompanied the Haki Rakujin SHM with her Dejeki Sendo technique and attacked, causing Hiyashi to scream into the high heavens in pain as every bone in his body was either broken or shattered from Hinata's relentless attacks, and was then sent right through the arena wall and flew about 100 feet outside the area wall and crashed in a crumpled blooded heap. It was then that Hyuga Hiyashi, the head of the Hyuga clan, the said to be the strongest Hyuga in Konohagakure, and who prided himself on his strength and power, was now a broken cripple of a man. His silk white robes were now covered in dirt, and in his own blood every one bone in his body was broken or shattered. His entire body screamed in pain from his daughter's attacks. He was coughing up large amounts of blood and could barely breathe, let alone move. He was certain that all his ribs were broken and that he had a punctured lung, and God knows what else. He could barely even stay conscious due to the pain he was feeling. Hiyashi also knew that if he did not get immediate medical attention, he would be dead within minutes. It was then that Hinata suddenly appeared over him with a look that was so cold that it could have frozen water, and for the first time in many years, Hyuga Hiyashi, head of the Hyuga clan and so-called strongest Hyuga in Konohagakure, felt true soul-wrenching, terrifying fear run through his body as he looked into his daughter's cold lavender eyes that seemed to freeze his very soul in fright. Hinata then raised her hand for one more final strike, ready to finish him, when suddenly Niji and a dozen or so Hyuga branch members appeared and held her so to stop her final strike, which was just mere inches from Hiyashi's heart. Hinata-sama, please stop this. There is no need for this. You won. You have beaten your father. You're the new leader of the Hyuga clan. Hinata, please. He is not worth killing. This is not you. This is not what Naruto would want you to become, said Niji with both worry and fear in his voice. Fear of what his once kind-hearted, sweet, shy, and gentle cousin was becoming. For a moment it looked like Hinata might try and do it, but once Niji said Naruto name, it got to her, and she removed her hand away from her father's heart slowly and nodded her head, showing that she was finished when Niji and the other Hyuga branch members let go of her. After they did, Hinata then kneeled down to her father. Fearing that she was going to attack again, the Hyuga branch members tensed up and were about to grab hold of Hinata again when Niji stopped them with a shake from his head to tell them to stop and to wait and see what happens. Hinata then lowered her head to her father's left ear and whispered in a low voice, but was still loud enough for Niji and the branch members to hear what she was saying. "Who is the pathetic one now?" said Hinata in a harsh whisper, and saying the last word as if it was the vilest thing in the world. Hinata then got up and calmly walked away with her back now to her father. Had she looked back, she would have seen a single sad tear fall from Hiyashi's right eye right before blacked out from pain. Flashback ends. After the fight, Hinata was officially made the new head of the Hyuga clan after which she then called a meeting with the Hyuga Council of Elders, where she told them that, as the new Hyuga clan head, she was having the cage bird seal removed from all branch members and was having the Hyuga Council of Elders disbanded and reformed, made up of members from both the main house family and the branch members. She was also removing that law that stated her clan could only use jutsu that belonged to her clan and were only to learn other jutsus if required by village law. With this law gone, any member of the Hyuga clan could learn jutsus outside the clan. When the Hyuga elders tried to object to her, she simply hit one of the clan council room walls with her Dengeki Sendo and destroyed the entire wall. She then stated to them that if they had a problem with how she was going to rule the clan, they could challenge her to a fight to overrule her or to take the position, as the clan heard from her. This of course got the desired result, and the Hyuga elders backed down, since they had all seen her fight with her father, after which word had quickly spread throughout the entire village, earning her a fearful reputation that could only be matched by Tswander, one of the Sennin. Soon after, the Hyuga clan cage bird seal was removed from all the branch members, and the Hyuga clan council of elders was to be disbanded and reformed, with 3 members from the branch members making up half of the council, while 3 younger and more open-minded main house members making up the other half of the council. Niji was also made part of the council, where he was made the leader of the clan council by Hinata and was made her personal advisor. Over the following years, Hinata continued to be an active ninja doing missions and quickly became a jonin, and from doing several higher rank missions and was mentioned in several Shinobi Nations bingo books. And had also earned the nickname Hyuga Shikyo no Megami, Hyuga's goddesses of death, with a battle with extreme caution warning on her profile in the books. Also, whenever she went out on mission, she would leave Niji, Hanabi, or someone from the new Hyuga clan council that she trusted in charge of the clan until she returned. Hinata also even improved her Dengeki Sendo to such a level that it rivaled the striking and destructive power that Swan's superhuman strength was capable of, where she could destroy an entire building with a single strike and cause a fissure in the ground if need be. She also even helped out in the hospital from time to time and had become a very well-respected healer, with her skill being only surpassed by Tswant, Shizune, and Sakura. As Kurenai thought at how her old student, who she had thought as a surrogate daughter or surrogate younger sister at least, had changed, she could not help but see at how sad her student still seemed, as well as lonely, even though she acted as a cold and emotionless Hyuga to the villager, visiting dignitaries, and some of the council members. She still remained of the kind and gentle young girl many knew her as, where she would greet her patients, her friends, and certain people like Kurenai herself with a smile and talk to them and offer them help from her if needed. But many could tell that she was still hurting on the inside, since she had never truly recovered from Naruto death. As Kurenai finished thinking about Hinata, she could not help but then thought about her so-called father Hiashi. After his battle with Hinata, he spent the next year in hospital due to the damage he had suffered from fighting Hinata. Despite Swan getting him to the hospital as quickly as she could, he was on death's doorstep when he got there after almost 6 hours of operating on him and trying to heal him. Swan had been finally able to stabilize him. He spent the next year in the hospital under constant supervision under Sakura, Swan, and Shizune, since the damage to him was so great that it took that long just to heal his body and bones. It even took 6 more months before he was able to walk under his own power. During that time, not one single person other than Sakura, Swan, and Shizune or the hospital nurses visited him. This was because many people had heard about what he had done and said to his daughter, where many people had been disgusted with how he had treated his own daughter, and most people had lost all their respect for the man. But even despite what he had done, Kurenai could not help but feel pity for the former Hyuga clan head, since she had seen him on several occasions, and whenever she saw him, she did not see the once proud and strong Hyuga man that was once head of one of the most powerful and noble clans in the village. He was gone now, and all she saw was a broken shell of a man who did not hold himself proud and strong like he once had. He couldn't even look at anyone in the face. Kurenai had once spoken to him, and when she looked into his eyes for a moment, she saw shame, self-loathing, and guilt in them. A year of being in the hospital alone with no one to visit him and someone to talk to had left Hiashi and great deal of time to think about the things that he had said and done over the years with his daughters, where he had most likely come to realize how much of a cold-hearted, prideful bastard he had become and what he had done to his daughters, especially Hinata. Hinata had not only broken Hiashi's entire body, she had also broken his spirit and pride and was nothing but a shell of a man. He could not even speak to Niji or to either one of his daughters, since whenever he had tried, the guilt and shame of what he had done over the years overwhelmed him. Kurenai had heard many say that this was simple karma for what he had done. Others had said it was poetic justice for his crimes to his daughter and his family. Some had even said he got what he deserved. But regardless of that, Kurenai still pitied the man. Hiashi had indeed reaped what he had sowed and got what he had wanted. Hinata had indeed become the strong and powerful Hyuga clan head that he wanted her to be, but it had cost him dearly to do it, a price that Kurenai herself, though, was far too high a price to make it worth it all, since Hiashi had lost the love and respect of both his daughters and the rest of his family, and he was now alone and paying for it every day and would have to live with what he had done for the rest of his life. Having thought enough of the past 10 years and what had happened and changed in those years, Kurenai decided to focus on accomplishing her mission and getting back to her son as soon as possible, where she hoped would be without incident. Unfortunately, that hope would soon be dashed, and any hope of seeing her son soon would also be dashed as well. Several miles away behind a small deserted island, 3 of Mizuno Kuni warships and 2 Kiri warships were lying in wait for the ship carrying Princess Sachi. On board the lead ship, a young crewman was running through the ship heading towards the Commodore, a commander of more than one ship, on the command point of the ship. "Sir, the shark units that you had sent to scout out for the royal ship have just reported that they have sighted the royal ship carrying the Princess of Yumi no Kuni only 3 miles away from us," said the young crewman as he saluted to the Commodore of the squadron. "Very good signal to all ships to move out and have the shinobi forces on board the ships, as well as have all the men to get ready for battle," ordered the Commodore to the crewman. The crewman saluted again and ran off to do as the Commodore ordered, after which the Commodore then turned to the man that he had been talking to before the crewman arrived with the news. "It seems that everything is going as planned. Will your men be ready and do their job right?" asked the Commodore to the man. "Of course they will. Just make sure that your men do not destroy that ship the princess is on when you fire on it. She is no good deed, and without her our plan is ruined," said the man called Isarugi Raijta. "I know that, just make sure that you and your men do your job. Besides, I heard that the Yumi daimyo has hired a team of highly skilled ninja from Konoha to protect his daughter," said the Commodore to Raijta. "Ha! Konoha is nothing but a shadow of its former self. It is weak now. By the time this day is done we will have the princess, and everyone will know that the shinobi of Konoha are inferior to those of Kiri," sneered Raijta. "We shall see, Raijta, we shall see," said the Commodore as he walked away from Raijta to get his men to move out and for battle. Raijta just ignored the Commodore's last comment. Isarugi Raijta was the last remaining loyal member of the current Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan SHK, 7 Swordsmen of the Mist, since one of the former members was of S-Class Missing Ninja and part of the famed organization of S-Class Missing Ninja, the Akatsuki. 2 of the other members of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan SHK that had also gone missing nin were dead both and had been both killed by ninja from Konoha. Mamachi Zabuza had been killed about 10 years ago in a battle against a famed Cop plus Ninja, copy ninja, Hada Kakashi and Nami no Kuni, along with his bloodline freak of a partner Haku. The other member, Kurisuki Raiga, had been killed by the famed Anbu captain, the Akami Ken no Konoha, Tenten's nickname, 4 years ago back when she was just an ordinary Anbu agent. It seemed that Raiga had taken over Katabami gold mine in the river country, running his own little gang, and was burying people alive to satisfy his sick little fantasies with having funerals. Somehow the villagers had sent word for help to Konoha, where they sent the Akami Ken no Konoha to deal with what she did. He even heard that, like Zabuza, Raiga had a bloodline-wielding freak as a partner who was now living in the village where Raiga was killed by the Akami Ken no Konoha. Ha! No wonder that Weekly was able to get into the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan SHK with one of those freaks helping him. Serves both him and Zabuza right, letting those freaks live and using them to make them stronger. The only good bloodline user is a dead one. The world would be better off without them all, thought Raijta. The 2 other members of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan SHK were both bloodline users, and when the bloodline crusade began they both became missing nin as well. Not that Raijta cared, since he had never liked either of them. He even heard that, as they fled the country, they found a squad of bloodline hunters killing a family of Heimton users, where they killed most of the squad and took in the only survivor, a young boy. Figures that those 2 would do something like that. Freaks like them usually stick together. Pulse, they were always too noble to get the job done when it was needed, like killing kids, thought, as he scoffed at the thought of the 2 former members. The one other remaining member of the Kiri no Shinabigatana Nanan SHK that was with Raikage, and the others went and betrayed Kiri and joined the rebel factions against the Yumi daimyo. And the god Ain Mizukage he was even later on joined the last surviving member of the old Kiri no Shinabigatana Nanan SHK who were formed after all the members of the original Kiri no Shinabigatana Nanan SHK were killed. Traitors the lot of them, but it doesn't matter, soon enough the rest of them will be all dead, and Kiri's glory will soar once again once Konoha is destroyed, and I will be its hero, and will reform the Kiri no Shinabigatana Nanan SHK in my image, thought Raikage, as he smiled evilly. Soon my time will come though, Raikage, as he walked down to the main deck to get ready for the attack. 1 hour later on board the royal ship. Currently Kurenai and Sakura were talking to the princess about what life in Konoha was like. Lee was showing pictures of his daughter to some of the guards and talking about her youthfulness, much to the guards' annoyance with hearing the words flames of youth or youthfulness over and over again. While Choji was happily munching on the food that the ship's cook had given him. Suddenly a cry from the man on the crow's nest was heard by everyone on the ship. "Ships ahoy, ships ahoy," cried the man. Quickly everyone went and looked at all sides of the ship to find where the ships were, in which they saw them in the distance from behind them. "How many ships are there?" shouted the captain of the ship. "There are 5 of them, and they are all warships, and they are heading for us," answered the man. This got everyone worried. 5 warships were headed for them. "Are they pirates?" asked the captain, which was what everyone else was thinking. "No," answered the man. "Then who are they?" shouted back to the captain. "They are from Mizuno Kuni, and 2 of them have the symbol of Kurigakure on them," said the man. "What are ships belonging to Mizuno Kuni and Kurigakure doing this far south?" asked the captain out loud. "They must be after the princess, that the only possibility they must want is to hold her for ransom or hold her as a prisoner to force both Yumi no Kuni and Tsuki no Kuni into doing whatever they want them to do," said Kurenai as she went up to the captain. "If that is the case, we cannot allow them to capture me. I refuse to allow myself to be used as a political pawn to force both my father and Hikaru-kun to bend to the will of that tyrant," the Mizu daimyo answered Princess Sachi. "Do not worry, princess, we will protect you, and we will make sure that they never lay a hand on you," answered the captain of the guard. "Captain, can this ship outrun those warships?" asked Princess Sachi. "Of course, princess, this is the fastest ship in the southern sea. There is no way they will be able to outrun this ship," said the captain confidently. He then turned and started to shout out orders to the rest of the crew to get the ship moving faster. Soon enough the mainsails for the ship were let loose, and the ship started to gain speed and were gaining distance from the warships, but just when they thought that they were going to get away, suddenly 12 shinobis exploded out of the water and landed on the deck of the ship. The 12 shinobis all wore air-breathing masks, most likely to breathe underwater for long periods of time. They also all wore anbo-like armor and gear and had Kiri headbands on their heads and had a small kanji symbol for shark on the top left-hand side of their armor. Watch out, they are with Kiri's shark unit. They are Kiri's elite underwater fighting unit. There are experts in both open sea combat and underwater combat. "You men surround the princess and guard her. We handle them ourselves," ordered Kurenai as she got into a fighting stance along with Lee and Sakura, while Choji pulled out his axe that he wore on his back. The guards quickly followed Kurenai orders and made a circle around her, protecting her with their bodies, with their swords out ready to defend the princess with their very lives if need be. With Kurenai quickly went off and faced 2 shark members, in which she quickly started to do some hand seals for a jutsu. The 2 shark members went to attack her, but just before they could get to her, she finished her seals and disappeared. "Where did she go?" asked one of the shark members as they turned their heads around to look for her. But before his partner could answer, they found themselves being wrapped around by tree-like vines that seemed to spring right out of the deck of the ship, and a tree then sprang right behind them, and they were tied to it by the vines. Before the 2 shark members could even try and escape, Kurenai suddenly came out of the tree like a flower blooming out of a flower tree. She then quickly slit both men's throats with her kunai, after which the tree disappeared and the 2 men dropped dead, with Kurenai standing right behind them wiping away the men's blood with a cloth. After which an explosion happened on the deck and Kurenai quickly turned to see what had happened. With Sakura was also busy fighting 2 shark nins herself, where she quickly rolled out of the way of a Mizurapa jutsu, violent water wave technique, fired at her by one of the shark nins as she did the other shark member charge her and was about to stab her with his kunai. Sakura then quickly did a low spin kick, causing the shark nin to fall on his back onto the deck of the ship. Sakura then quickly jumped back onto her feet and charged at the still standing shark nin with her fist raised in the air. The shark unfortunately could not dodge in time, and Sakura hit him right in the face, and with her superhuman strength which sent him right out of the ship and back into the open sea. She then turned around to deal with the remaining shark nin, which was lucky since she was then able to see an incoming kunai and was able to leap into the air in time to avoid the incoming kunai that was thrown by the other shark nin at her. The shark member then looked up into the air and was just in time to see a drop axe kick falling right onto his head, which was coming from a falling Sakura, and was then sent face first right into the deck of the ship, where the power from Sakura's superhuman strength sent him right through the deck of the ship and crashed right into the bottom floor of the ship. Sakura just wiped the dust off herself, pleased with herself with dealing with the two men easily enough. But suddenly Sakura's attention was focused on the explosion in the middle of the ship deck. With Lee quickly engaged 3 shark nins, and by using his great speed to his advantage, he quickly delivered a hard punch right into the face of an unsuspected shark nin, where he was sent crashing right into one of the lower masts. Lee quickly ducked an upper slash attack from a Tanto sword from one of the other shark nins, where had he not ducked it would have cut his head right off. Lee then disappeared and reappeared behind the attacking shark nin, where he then cried out Konoha Senk, Leaf Whirlwind, and then did a spinning kick which hit the surprised shark nin in the side of the head and sent him right across the ship and crashing right into the water. Lee then turned to the remaining shark nin, where the remaining shark nin got his kunai in hand and went to charge at Lee, where in a second or two, he had already split the gap between them in half. As the shark nin was halfway to him, Lee then disappeared, but before the shark nin could fully comprehend what had happened, he felt an enormous amount of pain in his stomach, which almost made him black out from the pain. The shark nin felt like he had been kicked by a donkey when he looked down and saw Lee kneeling down with his fist in the shark nin's stomach. When Lee removed his fist from the shark member's stomach and stood up in front of him, the shark member just keeled over onto the deck of the ship and blacked out. Just when Lee thought the fight was done, his shinobi senses kicked in and he ducked his head, where had he not he would have been hit by several shuriken in the back of the head that were sent by the first shark nin he had hit, who had just regained his bearings from being hit into the lower mast of the ship by Lee's sudden attack. Seeing that Lee had ducked his shuriken attack, the shark nin quickly began to do some hand seals for a jutsu attack, but before the shark nin could finish the last seal for his jutsu, Lee quickly ran across the deck of the ship to the shark nin and hit him with a Konoha SHMFK, Leaf Rising Wind, and sending the shark nin into the air, where Lee then used his cage beam, Shadow of the Dancing Leaf, where Lee then appeared behind shark nin and hit him in a pressure point on his back to paralyzing him for a few seconds, where Lee then quickly wrapped his bandages around the shark nin body. And when they reached the point where they would start to falling, they started to spin like a spinning top in a clockwise direction as they were falling. In which just before they both hit the deck, the Lee moved away from the man and the shark nin crashed head first into the deck of the ship and went right through it into the bottom part of the ship, creating a large hole on the main deck of the ship. Lee then just looked down through the hole in the deck of the ship to see the man now unconscious on the bottom floor of the ship, which caused Lee to smile to himself at his win. This did not last long when suddenly an explosion caught his attention on the deck of the ship. With Choji quickly raised his large battle axe to block a shuriken attack from the 2 shark nins he was battling. He had tried for a few minutes to hit the 2 shark nins with his battle axe, but they dodged it every time. Quickly realizing that swinging his battle axe at the 2 shark nins was getting him nowhere, he slammed the head of his axe onto the deck of the ship, sticking the axe to the deck of the ship. Choji then quickly uses his Buben Baika no Jutsu, partial multi-size technique, to expand his arms to giant size so that they were big enough and long enough to grab hold of and lift the 2 shark nins, and once they were, he quickly grabbed them both. Where he then slammed both men together, stunning, and then said, "Sorry guys, since neither of you have your boarding passes, I am going to have to ask you both to leave the ship." After which he then threw the 2 shark members out into the air and out to the open sea. "Happy landings," cried Choji as he smiled. But that faded when an explosion on the deck happened and he turned to see what happened. General viewpoint. Unfortunately, the shark nins that Lee, Kurenai, Sakura, and Choji had been fighting were just a distraction to keep the Konoha team busy until the remaining 3 other shark nins accomplished their main objective, which was to destroy the main mast of the ship and make sure that the ship did not get away from the oncoming warships. The 3 remaining sharknins quickly covered the lower and middle part of the ship's main mast with exploding tags, and once they had done that they set off the tags causing an explosion, and for the main mast collapsed on the deck of the ship and then fell into the sea. The 3 remaining sharknins then quickly jumped back into the sea since they had accomplished the main objective of their mission. As soon as the Konoha team saw the main mast explode and fall into the sea, they realized that they had been duped. They realized that sharknins they fought were just to distract them, while the other members destroyed the main mast, slowing the ship down so that the Mizu and Kiri warships could catch up with them. Damn it, they weren't after the princess, they were after the main mast. I should have seen that coming. We should have been protecting it," said Kurenai, cursing herself for being duped so easily. "Kurenai-san, what do we do now?" asked Sakura. "There is nothing we can do with the main mast gone. There is no chance whatsoever in outrunning those warships now. The best we can do now is try and fight them off, since if they want the princess they are going to have to board it, but even then I don't like our chances, especially if they have a lot more shinobi on those ships, which I willing to bet they do," answered Kurenai as she frowned and was trying to think of a way to get themselves and the princess out of this mess, and so far she was coming up with noting. Suddenly they heard some blasts coming from 2 of the warships. When everyone turned towards the ships, they saw things flying through the air towards them, and they quickly realized that the things that were flying through the air towards them were kunais, hundreds of kunai. "Take cover," yelled Choji. As everyone started to take cover behind different things on the ship, many of the guards even used their own bodies to protect the princess. But none of the kunais hit the ship, all the kanais hit the water around the ship, and once they did they exploded, causing large amounts of water to be splashed onto the ship, soaking many people on board. Once it was all over, everyone got out of their covering spots. "Are you alright, princess? Are you hurt?" asked the captain of the guard worriedly. "No, I'm fine, thank you, Captain Yamaka," answered Princess Sachi as she got up from being on the floor of the deck when her guards used their bodies to try and cover her. "Shit. They're using exploding kunai. What the hell? Are they trying to kill us?" cried Choji. "Well, if they are doing a pretty bad job since they missed us," said Sakura. "No, that was just a warning telling us that they have the power to kill us all if they want to and to intimidate us," Kurenai answered. "But what was it that they just used to fire all those exploding kunai at us?" asked Lee. "I'm not exactly sure, but I might have an idea, and I hope I'm wrong, because if I'm right we have no chance of surviving this, and it will do a lot of damage to Konoha in the coming battles against Kiri," said Kurenai as she was clearly worried with the current situation they were in right now. It did not take long for the warships to get to them and surround their ship, although the princess guards prepared to battle, as did the Konoha team and the crew of the ship. They were still vastly outnumbered. They also soon saw the volley guns on board 2 of the warships, and they were loaded with more kunai and were aimed at them. There were at least 100 Mizu warriors on board the ships, all armed with swords, spears, bows, and arrows. Also on the ships were 60 Kiri ninja. Many of them were carrying several strange-looking weapons in their arms. Imagine the weapons that the Sky Ninjas used in the second Naruto Shippuden movie. "Wait. I know that I saw things like that when I was in Haruyuki no Kuni," said Sakura in surprise when she saw the volley guns. "Yes, you would have, I imagine," said Kurenai with a frown, since her fears had been confirmed. "But how did Kiri get them, since they belong to Haruyuki no Kuni, and since they are members of the Heavenly Alliance and allies to Kumo? They would never give Kiri their weapons, since the Godame Mizukage hates the Rakudame Raikage, and he would use those weapons against him and Kumo, as well as the rest of the Heavenly Alliance," said Sakura. "That because they didn't. You see, a few years ago Jiraiya-sama reported a rumor he had heard that when you and your teammates defeated the daimyo of Haruyuki no Kuni, Kazuhana Dodo, a member of his inner circle, had escaped the country with some plans on one of the weapons that Dodo created. Where the member then later on sold it to Kiri. The rumor was never confirmed due to Kurigakure never showing any signs of having it, but had tightened up security in the village and kept certain docking ports in Yumi no Kuni closed off from most people," answered Kurenai. Suddenly a man in samurai armor appeared on top of the command point of the Mizu warship and began to speak. "Attention all crewmen and warriors of Yumi no Kuni, as well as Konoha shinobi, as you can see we have you completely surrounded. You have seen what our volley guns can do, and they are now all aimed at you. I suggest that you all surrender now and save your lives. There need be no more bloodshed and lives lost today," spoke to the man in armor. You would not dare fire those things at us since you clearly want to take the princess as your prisoner since you purposely missed us when you fired your volley guns earlier. If you fire them now you will not only kill us all, but the princess as well, said Kurenai as she stepped forward to make herself known. After which Akiri ninja then took aim and fired the strange weapon in his hand and fired several kunais at Kurenai feet, causing her to step back in shock, not expecting something like that to happen. The man in armor then held up his hand to the ninja, signaling to him to hold his fire. Although what you say is true, Konoha Shinobi-san, as you can see for yourself, we also have handheld versions of the volley guns and kunai launchers. They are much more accurate and just as deadly. Not to mention we can also board your ship from all sides, and we vastly outnumber your group, hence you have no chance of defeating us, and we will just take Princess Sachi in the end with force, so I ask you again to surrender now and save your lives. You will not be harmed, I give you my word. I will give you 30 seconds to make your decision," said the man in armor. Just as the man in armor had just stopped speaking, someone shouted, "Wait!" Where Princess Sachi walked out from behind her guards and stood in front of them to speak to the man in armor. "Princess, please get back behind us," spoke Captain Yamaka as he tried to get her back behind him, but she just brushed him off. "Although I would rather die than become a political pawn to be used against my father and Hikaru-kun, I will not allow all these people to die needlessly to try and protect me. If you give me your word, as an officer which you clearly are, that you will not harm any of these people and you let them go, I will surrender myself to you without resistance," spoke Princess Sachi, standing with an aura of nobility and confidence around her and speak without the slightest bit of hesitation or nervousness in her voice. "Princess, you can do this, please don't do it," cried Captain Yamaka as he tried to stop her from surrendering herself to them. Princess Sachi held up her hand to Captain Yamaka's face to tell him to stop and then said, "Captain, this is my decision, and I order you to stand down and speak to the princess in a voice of authority, one that only a true ruler would have." Captain Yamaka at first said nothing, but eventually lowered his head in complacence and answered, "Very well, Princess, this is your decision, and I will do as you say," after which he stepped back from her. Princess Sachi then looked to the man in armor again, who had been watching the whole ordeal with interest and spoke with just as much confidence as she did before and said, "Do we have an agreement then?" The man in armor then nodded his head in agreement and said, "We do, in which I, Commodore Fuji Kazan of Mizuno Kuni Royal Fleet, do hereby give you my word that no harm will come to any of the other people on your ship, and I will let them go freely," said Commodore Kazan. After the agreement was made, Princess Sachi had all her guards, as well as the ship crew and Kurenai and the others, to lower their weapons and surrender to the now boarding Mizu warriors and Kiri ninjas. Soon enough, everyone on board the Yumi Royal ship was rounded up in one large group, and they had their hands in the air as a sign of their surrender, with Mizu warriors and the Kiri ninjas all pointing their weapons at the surrendering crew and ninjas. The princess herself stood up in front of the group with two Mizu samurai with her in the middle between the two. Soon enough, Commodore Kazan boarded the ship himself with another large man who looked like a bodybuilder with brown hair with a narrowing face and looked like some overgrown street thug to the Konoha ninja. He carried a large samurai katana on his side. He wore a standard purple jonin flak jacket with tradition shinobi pants and sandals. He wore his headband of kiri on his right bicep and wore a gray hooded cloak that had the kanji kill on it. The two of them soon made themselves up to the princess, where the man then spoke first. "My name is Isarugi Raikage, the last remaining loyal member of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan SHK and commander of the shinobi forces you see here." He then quickly cupped Princess Sachi's face with his large right hand, and she looked directly into his face. Captain Yamaka and several of the guards flinched as they saw this, since they wanted nothing more than to attack Raikage for touching the princess in such a way, but they knew they could do nothing in the current situation they were in. "It was very noble of you to offer yourself up to us to allow the others to live. Then again, I should expect something like that from a princess such as yourself," said Raikage. He then looked down at Sachi's body and then at her face and had a lecherous grin on his face. "Not bad, although you're a tad bit skinny for my taste, but you're still quite pretty. Then again, I should expect that from someone of royalty like you." Sachi then quickly smacked away his large hand. "Don't you dare touch me," she hissed at him violently. "Ha, ha, 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 ha," laughed Raikage, and feisty too, "I like that. The Prince of Tsuki no Kuni is a lucky man to get someone like you." "Enough," yelled Commodore Kazan, and he put himself between Princess Sachi and Raikage. Raikage, you will treat Princess Sachi with the respect she deserves, said Commodore Kazan with a forceful tone as he glared at Raikage angrily, where he then turned and spoke to the princess. Princess Sachi, please forgive Raikage, he clearly lacks any form of courtesy or manners. To which Raikage just scoffed at Commodore K's remark. Although you are now our prisoner, you will be treated with the respect you deserve, hence I would like to offer you my quarters for you to stay in, as long as you are on my ship, Commodore Kazan said politely to the princess. Thank you, Commodore Kazan, for your generous offer, which I will accept, but what of my guards, my ship crew, and the Konoha ninja, asked Princess Sachi. They shall not be harmed, and they will all be released, as I promised, princess, said Commodore Kazan. All except for the Konoha shinobi, interrupted Raikage. Raikage, you are out of line. I gave the princess my word of honor that I would let everyone else on this ship go if she surrendered peacefully, which she did, and I intend to keep my word, rounded Commodore Kazan. You may have given your word to the princess, but I did not. Besides, this is a shinobi matter, where you have no say in the matter since Kiri and Konoha are at war with one another. These four are prisoners of war, said Raikage, as he pointed at Kurenai, Lee, Sakura, and Choji, and had his men single them out and surrounded them. Besides, I would be a fool to let such valuable prisoners as these four get away, since the one in green is Rock Lee Konoha Nidame no Ketakai Aoi MMJK1 of Konoha to join fighters and husband to the clan head of the Kurama clan. The one in armor is Akamichi Choji Konoha no Kyojin Kyud and heir to the head of the Akamichi clan, as well as member of the Neo Ino Shikacho. The red-eye beauty is Yuhi Saratobi Kurenai Konoha famed Genjutsu specialist, former wife of the late Saratobi Asuma of the Kazuma in the Shugenin Nishi, and aunt to Konoha no Enkum Saratobi Kanahamaru. And the one with the pink hair is Haruno Sakura Konoha Chiyo Sakura, an apprentice of the Godame Hokage. These four will have a great deal of valuable information that could be very useful to Kiri in the war against Konoha, said Raikage, as he walked over to the Konoha shinobi. No matter what you do to us, we will never talk, and we will never betray our village, spoke Sakura definitely, after which Raikage just cupped her face and said, brave words, but you will eventually break. Kiri shinobis are very good at getting information out of people, and when we have gotten all the information that we want from you, we will then have a little fun together. I will especially enjoy having some fun with you, Kurenai-san, said Raikage, as he let go of Sakura's face and then cupped Kurenai's face in his large hands. I must say you're much more beautiful in person than you are in your picture in the Kiri bingo book, said Raikage, where Kurenai gave him the most hateful look she could muster at him. She had heard of Raikage, who was not only famed for his power and skill as a swordsman in Kiri, but also for his brutality and cruelty to people in the Mizuno Kuni and Karigakure. In its current civil war, he was known for his strong hatred of bloodlines and for killing the entire families of people who were against either the Godame Mizukage or the Mizu Daimyo. When Raikage saw the look that Kurenai was giving him, he just laughed. Good. I like women who are feisty. It just makes it all the better when I break them in the end, and they always do in the end, said Raikage, as he smirks when Kurenai just continues to glare at him with all the hate she could muster in herself. Raikage then turned to Sakura and eyed the curves of her body and shape of it and eyed her lecherously. As he did, Sakura could not help feeling that she needed a shower as he looked at her. Perhaps after I finish breaking Kurenai-san here, I will come to visit you then, Miss Haruno, said Raikage with the same lecherous grin on his face as he held a handful of Sakura pink hair and ran it through his fingers. This caused Sakura to shudder and then glare at the man with just as much hatred as Kurenai had shown him, which Raikage just laughed at, after which he turned to some Kiri nins around them. You men take the prisoners to the brig, order Raikage to the shinobis around the Konoha nin, which the Kiri nin did as they were told. As they were being brought on board to one of the Kiri warships, all four of them knew what would happen once they reached Mizuno Kuni. They would be put in one of Kiri prisons, where they would be interrogated, tortured, and raped, in Kurenai and Sakura case, for all the information that they had about Konoha. After which they would either be left to rot in prison, where they would never see the light of day again, or they would be killed and buried in some unmarked grave outside the prison, and that was if they were lucky. Since there was also very little chance of rescue coming from their village due to the situation that it was in now, with fighting off Oto, Iwa, Kiri, Kusa, and the Hanyu clan. The four Konoha ninja lowered their heads in defeat as they walked on to the Kiri warship. They had failed to protect the princess, where she would be used as a political pawn in the Godame Mizukage and the Mizu Daimyo schemes. They had failed to help their village to gain the badly needed trade alliance with Yumi no Kuni and Tsuki no Kuni, and worst of all, they had failed to come back to their loved ones where Sakura would never see her parents again, Choji would never see his parents or his wife again. Lee would never see his daughter or wife again, and Kurenai would never see her son again. They had all lost hope in ever seeing their loved ones again. Princess point of view. As Kurenai and the others were being led away by the Kiri shinobi, Princess Sachi quickly turned to Commodore Kazan. "Commodore Kazan, please, is there anything you can do to stop them?" pleaded the princess to the Commodore. The Commodore just sighed and said sadly, "I'm sorry, Princess, but as Raikage said, this is a shinobi matter and I have no power to stop him since he is well within his rights to do this since Kiri and Konoha are at war with one another. I'm truly sorry, Princess, there is nothing that I can do that is out of my hands now," said the Commodore sadly. After which he then put his hand out to the princess and said, "Princess Sachi, if you please come with me, I will lead you to my quarters where you may stay for the journey to Mizuno Kuni," said the Commodore. He led Princess Sachi aboard his ship and to his quarters. As he did so, the princess could not help but silently prayed with all her might and hoped with all her heart and soul that someone would come to rescue her and the Konoha nin and save them from this nightmare. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. If you want the next part of this story, let me know in the comment box. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.